Fella, come on. I take me, I take the kid and make him see, make him believe in chasing his dreams and destiny. Truly accept the knowledge, a part of the recipe. In order to have an impact, I first must invest in me. We sowing seeds, locally, globally, overseas. Integrity, dignity, yeah, we living by both of these. The seeds of my players had to take a knee to COVID thieves. The police keep taking knees on our neck, how we supposed to breathe. Now look at me, I'm leading the movement like Booker T. Let's look at the aftermath when Kaepernick took a knee. When MLK took a march, Coretta Scott took a seat. I look defeat in the eyes and I declare victory. I'm fourth alone, I go for the gusto, that's six for me. Right when I cross the TD, I drop down and I take a knee. I'm giving God all the glory for giving the grace to me. Like I take a knee every morning and thank Him for waking me. I take a knee.
Hey, good evening. Here we are tonight. Nice Wednesday evening with H and the boys today. We're looking at James Winslow to the left. We got Mr. and Mrs. Asura and Perlina, and we're headed with Tony Sweet here at the Umbungo studio, people. And the night's going to be great. But first and foremost, we just want to thank everybody for giving us an opportunity to get here tonight. And getting here safe and making sure that we get home safe. Okay? Get a quick little update on what's going on. The song that you heard was done by Coach Tutu out there in Chicago. And what he's got going on right now with the Hit Squad is something special. What he's doing with cognitive training for the kids out there in Illinois is incredible. But more importantly, his son is really doing his thing out there. You know, he's gotten a few scholarship offers as a 10th grader. So he's done some great things, and we're really excited for Coach Tutu and the Hit Squad and for giving us an introduction that's consistent that we can be able to share with the world. Thank you very much, Coach Tutu. We got Dream Givers here tonight with us, and we're going to give them a quick little second or two just to share what they're doing tonight.
Yeah. Oh, hey, everybody. We're coming in trying to take care of the community from the financial literacy standpoint. Trying to teach families that peace of mind doesn't cost as much as they think, and it starts with a little. And it's about teaching families how to start a habit that can serve them for the rest of their lives. So it's not about how much you have, it's about what you do with what you have. But, yep, that's a little bit about Dream Givers. Thanks, Coach.
Awesome. And, we have a good alliance of what we work with HSPN and David Hill out there in Indianapolis. So, David, we want to just thank you for the things that you're doing across the country for the youth and all the kids for them to be able to elevate themselves. And along with HSPN, getting into things, I think it's really important that we mention a student athlete. For the last 5 weeks, I've been coaching at Centennial High School. Yeah. It's out there in Corona, and we haven't mentioned any of it. And James Winslow's a part of the program out there, and Asura right here. He's a coach at Bishop Amat, so that's really important too. But we have an athlete, Ethan Winslow, who's playing an inside linebacker. He's a captain for the football team. He's worthy of what we're doing right now. Is just to be able to give him a little bit of exposure to get on the show with Coach V. We figure if Coach V can see his pictures, we can get the word out a little bit. Yeah. So that's pretty good. So we just want to thank Mr. Winslow for doing some things with us, but more importantly, just for his son being the leader that he is, what he does on the field, in the classroom, and then what he really does is lately, as we've noticing, is his desire to teach. Out there on the field, he's getting the younger guys and he's teaching. He's getting into the concept to teach once is to learn twice. So, Ethan, we just want to say congratulations on getting a little shout out here at the podcast here at the Transitions, and also we wouldn't be here without Tony Jefferson who powers this thing and he gets everything to work real well with us. So we want to give Tony Jefferson that shout out, and then. On the real, I only get to be here because I get the okay from the wife, and that's, that's the reason. So I also got to wave to the family and let them know everything's going well. But they got some good things going on. They got into their own business. My wife and my son and my daughter-in-law, and it's a experience. But really, it's called RTG. It's ready to go. So we said that we're going to shout out. We're going to give you guys a little look at it. Here it is. I'm just, really, I'm authentically doing this because I think they have something special out there. But let's get to the business. And the business is this. We got Coach V from Northern California.
Coach V.
Southern California guy. You know, there's some traveling here and there, but he's everywhere. And when I'm saying he's everywhere, when we look at it from Ganesha to a college and then to coaching in the big arenas, and then from the big arenas speaking, and then you look at just the things that he's doing. He's everywhere. He's this place, he's at that place, and he's dropping gems and nuggets for people to transition and get their pivots in their life in the right place. So we've been blessed just for him to say, Coach, I want to be on the podcast with you guys, and I'll accept you guys' invitation. So Coach V, we are extremely happy to have you on, and can't wait for you to share, your family, your football, the support group that you have. And you as a coach and an educator, college, that things, there's a lot of things you're doing, and we want to know why. We want to know, what did it take to get to that phase of it? We've known, you wrote a book where we're talking about from the ground to the crown, why community, why higher education. And then to top out all those things off, the beauty of it all is the support in what you do with your family. So, Coach, the time is yours now. We're done talking. It's all on you, my brother.
Oh, man. Thank you to everybody at Take a Knee and everybody who's on the call right now and on this podcast. You with the Dream Givers, Sarah, Paulina, and everybody that's there in studio. Just thank you so much for this opportunity to be here. To the audience and the crowd, my name is William Mitafokdao Tape Alabatuiwai. Born in the island of Tonga, came here in 1979 to the United States, and never went home. Unintentionally, we came here, and that's really the urging of my grandfather. We're a really esteemed and well-off family in the islands, both from the royal connections, the noble connections, and then also just within the social hierarchy. And here in the United States of America, we overstayed illegal aliens and started from the ground up, just in terms of the American dream and trying to achieve that American dream. So really, I'd love just to tell it all, but I think I would yield to really everyone on the call and everybody here on the podcast just to ask the questions that you might have, Coach Coco, and sir.
Yeah.
But I'm just really blessed, right, Coach Coco? I'm blessed for the opportunity to be in such a forum like this. That's just not impactful within one household or just a community, but a worldwide platform that you would take the time to empower people, which I believe that we're aligned in those terms, not knowing everything in all of the projects that you have going on, but really empowerment is the granting and authority of permission to do, become, and achieve what it is that you want in life, leadership, and business, to become more effective and efficient, more powerful. And especially in that is taking control of your life and going from the noun of what empowerment is to changing it into the verb, transitioning, as you talk about all the time, just in terms of that, into self-empowering yourself and granting yourself authority and permission to do, become, and achieve what it is that you want in life, leadership, and business. I'm just super excited to see some Polynesians on here, along with my brother Coco. To see Dream Givers on here talking about financial literacy and what it is that they offer in terms of the financial aspect. Tony Robbins talks about 29 aspects of life that we need to focus on. John Maxwell talks about 21. Stephen Covey's 30-something. Coach V ain't that smart, and I can't memorize 21 things in front of a crowd of 10,000 people. So I got 7.
Yes.
And then that what Dream Givers is talking about is that financial aspect. I talk about personal, familial, spiritual, professional, financial, relational, and mental. And really that is the scope of what creates a champion for me, not just in sports, as the definition of champion is the best amongst a given field of competitors, that you arise as the best, but also that you champion something it is that you believe in, that you feel that either you've been called by your faith to do, or do what Dream Givers does is really such a critical component in terms of this financial component, And so it's good to see some Polynesian brothers and sisters out there trying to realize that game is part of the 7 aspects it is that I coach, teach, and train. And that, more money, more problems. And Coach V understands that. But no money, bigger problems. And I understand that very well, coming from a family where I ate free and reduced lunch my entire school career, all the way through graduating high school. So in that, that's just my hello to the audience. And from that, I would just yield to the panel on any questions it is that you may have, and what it is that I do as a keynote speaker nationally in over 30 industries, where NASA will be the 30th industry that I have no relevant experience or expertise, yet they hired me to coach, teach, and train and or keynote speak in those arenas. Fortune 1,500, 100 companies. I'm the author of the book Life Champion that is being re-edited, and it should be done within a few weeks. We're going to launch version 2 of Life Champion, Life Lessons that Yield Championship Results on Thanksgiving Day. As well as I'm a nonprofit founder and CEO of Invictus Youth Foundation that has impacted over 5,000 youth in free camps and clinics in basketball, football, volleyball, soccer, flying planes between the ages of 9 and 18, and snowboarding and skiing for absolutely free, because I was that kid in Pomona, California, where the only free sports it is that I played that was whatever that was offered at Parks and Recs. And then until I was where sports was free in high school, that I first engaged in sports and extracurricular activities that cost money. I didn't have money. So, and then in that, I'm the host of the Coach V Show on Island City Media Group out of Hollywood-Radio Studios on the Coach V Show. That's also a podcast that releases after the Monday show night. On Mono Motivation Mondays is on Tuesday afternoon. It's launched on the Coach V podcast. And as a success coach to billionaires, millionaires, and I'm starting with NASA this coming October and November, doing a module also in January. And after that first pilot program, we'll be going on to what it is that they choose next. So in that, Coco, thanks for the opportunity just to say hello and give a little bit of insight in terms of not just my titles or what it is that I've been recognized for, or what it is that I've done. You can see in the wall behind me, I've been able to be around some championship folks where there's money in the transaction, but the wealth is in the relationships. And I've also been recognized from government agencies to national government senates and Congress. And it's just been really what the hymn says, that amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found, blind, but now I see. So thank you, Take a Knee, for the opportunity to come on the show.
Awesome, Coach. And listening to you, boy, those transitions, people go, how does a man handle transitions as such? But you do it in such a manner that it looks as if it's, an easy trap. Well, right. There's an easy trap, and then I'm just going to make sure I squeeze it down and take the air away, or if I'm just going to kick him out and kick him out. When you look at it that way, it's an easy trap, and the way you talk, it's just like, well, that's what it is. But I think for a person to be able to talk in that manner, posture themselves in a manner of authenticity and being genuine, you have to have some serious family support, not just within your own confines of your home, but the culture of your Polynesian group. You guys have such a strong tie, and then not only the idea of the core of it, it's more than just your immediate family, your parents and your brothers and sisters. I look at you and I see some incredible things that came out of Ganesha of a neighborhood. when I look at the X's and O's, it's powerful with you and Yona and Pan, and you guys are incredible in what you guys have grown up to be. I remember back in 1997, I was telling Perlina that we were doing some speed camps there, and that's when I first met you and Yona. You guys had just finished doing JC ball, getting ready to go up and play, into the college thing, and then now look at you guys, incredible. But in the whole thing, how does it help to have the right wife, and really you live the life that you want to live, and we get to see you at your best, and when you're at your best, it's because you have that support. You're always showing things of you and your family, and to me, that right there is the only pat you really need in the back. To edge you forward.
Yeah. I think family is, one of the pillars and the cornerstones of my life. I think faith, you'll find that is at the center, but I cuss so much, you could also tell that I'm not a pastor. Um, but first off, Coco, if I could just shout out Jihad, class of 94,
You
Pentala
know.
Mai Val, Yona Uyangalele. I could go down the list, man. Before him was Motal Fisi in the 90s class, Roddy Layton, who was just on my show. Let's David Uyangalele, who was a class before us, his son is doing great. And so all of us are at various forms and various stages. So shout out to the boys since you brought them out, man. Shout out Pomona. Shout out to Ganesha High School where, I thought I knew, but I really just didn't know. I didn't know. And to be able to get where it is that I am today, I don't take that for granted for one bit. Um, it seems like it was just yesterday, but it also feels like 5 lifetimes ago. It almost seems like a TV show that wasn't even real compared to the living that and the daily experiences and the access points that I have into to a society that I didn't have back then in terms of who I can pick up the phone and call and the opportunities that I'm able to create worldwide and the business opportunities as well as helping anybody that I want to just because I pick up the phone and say, man, I could help with that. Not because I can help you, but I know somebody who can help you in that. And then, so I do want to shout that out. Thanks for bringing up the boys, man. Shout out to the Pomona boys, the Halafa boys. Rest in peace out to Ronnie Holani, who played with me at
Absolutely.
SBVC after I left.
Absolutely.
And the Holani family. That was the 4th Street boys and the Hacienda Heights boys and the Long Beach, Carson. I mean, you go down the list. I was a wannabe gangster. I never really was a gangster, but I was an athlete, and because I was an athlete, I was given a certain amount of respect, right? And so, I want to shout out to those guys because those were the guys who I was playing tetherball at Roosevelt Elementary School, and they rolled up in this souped up beach cruiser, Yona and Big Dave, and they're like, man, you don't play basketball? I was like, basketball? I don't play
Oh.
basketball, man. I like tetherball. And then those guys really got me on track to the competitive person and the nature that I am today. It was just an injection of being around those guys because they tried to kill themselves as brothers just playing basketball. And then so my younger siblings were younger. So those guys being around Penn, and then Eric Jennings, who went to Texas A&M.
Yes.
I could just go down the list of the people at Mount Sac and at Ganesha High School in the Pomona area, Bishop Almont area, as we talk about, coaching high school and all that. There was no Corona Centennial. Rancho Cucamonga wasn't what it is today. Modern Day was still pretty good. But really being around those guys really gave me that competitive edge to go out there and not care about failing, which goes into the transitions that you talk about. Yes, I do have major support and all that, but we all know that this thing is about reps and live reps. And the difference between the master and the person who is the pupil is that the master has failed 1,000 more times than the pupil has ever tried. So the reason why I'm so natural in my transition and my speaking style and how it is that I just not try to create buy-in, but I really try to win hearts and minds. It's a sales approach and an approach to community and an approach to everything it is that I do that's all about developing people for personal growth, professional advancement, and appreciating people for who they are. And so the studies are reflective on this note that when people feel appreciated, they engage more at work, profitability increases, and productivity increases. And that's not because Coach V says so. This is what the industry statistics and what the studies show. In terms of being able to fail, that I'm with a wife who's ride or die, which, is really gangster, but the people on the streets fail to remember that just comes from the vow in sickness and in health until death do us part. That whole ride or die just comes from the vow that's called marriage and absolute commitment. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying it's worth it. So my wife, upon telling her when we returned home, because her mom was sick and then she passed just about a half year later, is that, hey, I want to try this public speaking thing. And I thought public speaking was the main lane, in which case I could make millions off of that, only to find out a decade later, just around 2009 and 2019 and 2020, that keynote speaking is the side hustle. It's the coaching, teaching, and corporate training that is the meat of it. And then having multiple streams of income that comes from the side hustle, that's the commercial of keynote speaking in front of thousands or hundreds or 2,000 people, that you can now dish out all of the services and the income stream versus services it is that you provide, that you can do that. So the support in terms of my wife just going, hey, I know that this is going to be rough, and to start from being a championship level coach in the NCAA world to starting from scratch in something that I'm just now really figuring out what the process is. And process means replicable steps that equate to replicable outcomes, and that you can just have as the dream givers we're talking about, or what are the daily habits, activities, routines, and automated tasks that you could have in life, leadership, and business that create that flow. That flow creates momentum, and that momentum takes you, your life, your leadership, and your business to its next level of success and life fulfillment. And in that, I would just add, before I just yield again for the next question, is yes, support, reps, understanding that failure is not a different road than success, but it's just part of the process. And then making sure that you have a process and you know what those processes are. I've just taken that for what the statistics, the timing, the who, what, where, when, how, and why of football, and I've just applied it to speaking, and I'm bringing it to corporate companies. So in that, the transitioning and the vernacular that I use, the rhythm that I'm using, emphasis of words. I am a professional. I make no qualms about that, and I am unapologetic about that. And that's why I get paid $200 to $300 a minute when I keynote speak, and I'm unapologetic about that too, because of the fact that I remember what it feels like to not be able to book a gig to speak for free. And then I started making thousands, and I thought, wow, $1,000 for, an hour. Then it became, $10,000 for 15 minutes. And that's just God's amazing grace. It can't just be because of my sorry ass, right? Unmerited and undeserved favor. So just combining that work ethic, the reps, not being scared to fail, and not worrying or concerned about if my wife is going to leave me, should I not get this gig, or that my parents are, they're not ashamed that I'm trying to do something and I don't have money. I failed. I made setbacks. I'll sabotage myself. I've been publicly embarrassed by being fired from college football jobs to not getting gigs that I should be getting in speaking. My family is just like, hey, that's what we do. That's how it goes. And that it will work out at the end, in the beginning, and from the middle, both ways. So that's how I would answer that, Coach Coco.
Awesome, Coach. And looking at that, you get that build, and now you kind of ran through, and you feel solid. You feel good about everything that's in front of you. And then,
yes, sir.
And then we get the COVID come in.
Yeah.
When we get that COVID come in, the coach is like, it's like halftime. We got to go into the locker room, and we're in the locker room now. What do we do? What do we do with that? And some people, they just bury themselves. I see you saying, you know what, this is an opportunity to elevate and create a different type of mindset. So within that environment and that time frame, and you look at it at a halftime, and you can only bring, in a sense, 2 or 3 of your best tools to the second half.
Yes, sir.
And then now in that second half, that knowledge that for all of us, the knowledge that we got to learn about what we have to do to be successful under the umbrella that we're in now, we have to have a transition. How do you handle the transitions of your business, your family, and then getting all this stuff back to those kids that you do things for, and making sure they're in a safe environment? I mean, that's a hustle, Coach. I mean, and you're doing it. So I know you're not just going out there to get it done. You got the best interests of the kids. The parents know that. Everybody knows it. So how did you get that done, Coach?
Yeah. So fortunately, very similar again to the coaching approach, is not only do you have your starting 30, 40 plays on offense, and you have a script, and you have a design and a strategy for what may happen, you also have some foresight. So fortunately for me, in the fall of 2019, I already transitioned to a Zoom platform where I was coaching, teaching, and training Jack in the Box, Corner Bakery, and Denny's, and Popeyes in over 8 markets nationwide. So when the bottom fell out in terms of keynote speaking and or training, coaching, or teaching in person, I already pivoted and was already starting to use this platform. Lost about $25,000 just in the first month. The second month was worse, just in already booked engagements, because they book like a year out for these corporate events. And so not only did I lose that in March and February, but when we hit March and April, when we hit May and June, because everybody was forced to go Zoom and I was already on there. Because before I could only do 3 coaching or teaching or keynote speaking, 3 events, in a week. I mean, I fly to Hawaii, I do a deal there, I have a client in Hawaii, then I fly back home, have dinner with the family, and then I jump on a plane later on that red eye going either to Texas or going to Spokane, Washington, and then I come back here. I can fit only one more gig locally. I was now able to do 3 of those in a day from my office across the hallway from my master bedroom, this office right here.
Wow.
So that
Home
was
sweet home, baby. Home sweet home.
Yeah, that it just worked out that way. And then the other thing is that what I coach, teach, and train is everybody can get to a certain level of success in life, leadership, coaching, finances by shooting from the hip. But should you design and strategize your time? That now starts with family time. There's at least 14 to 16 holidays that start with like New Year's Eve, New Year's, President's Days, and then we're getting into now Valentine's, right? That go all the way towards September's like Labor Day. Then for my kids, it's Halloween because we still trick or treat prior to COVID. And then we got Thanksgiving and we got all these holidays. If we would design those holidays and those off days with family, then you put in my parents, because both my parents are 74 and 68, 67. I can't miss a parent's birthdays, right? And then after that, my wife's birthday, my kid's birthday. I never used to put my birthday down, right? So yesterday was my birthday and my family was cracking up because I had clients. I shot my Coach V show for Next Month of Motivation Monday on September 28th. So I was working because since my wife was working and stuff, right? But now we planned it if my birthday falls on a weekend, it's on. We're going to shoot to Cabo. We're going to shoot to somewhere, Maui. We're going to do something like that. And then so our anniversary, one to 2 date nights, or what we call family breakfasts with just my wife and I, or the kids if they're off because they're not traditional. So I start with that, and that creates so much synergy into my work life. Because now I don't have to be worried or concerned that I'm cheating the family by being at work late, or right now in the evening. I already had my family time. I coach my kids. I coach my kids' teams, baseball, everything. That's why I was running behind tonight. So again, my apologies about that. But if you design your calendar and you actually put up what's called exact knowledge wants, meaning have a target for your life. As dream seekers talk about, probably it's just, what do you want to make? How much do you want to keep? What are you going to invest? Do you have life insurance? Do you have a living will? Who's your tax person, right? What do your investments look like? How do you break up and design your budget and your incoming and what you pay, starting with tithe, then community, then investments, right? And how do you break that up so that you have a financial equation? That's all by design. But too many of us, because in the United States of America, we could shoot from the hip and make $100,000 a year. And if you have both couples making $100,000 a year, you're sitting pretty good. The divorce rate for anybody that makes $330,000 a year together, combined income, is virtually zero, right? But when you design your life in terms of your time and your money, you prioritize family first, and then you could do what it is that I do. I mean, I got 110. I could have had 144 people at our golf tournament, but we only have 110 gift bags. So I asked everybody else, it's like, hey, look, I can't fit you in the tournament. I don't have gift bags. I need you to donate all $1,500 to come play golf on a Monday and get drunk at my golf tournament, because I designed that into my calendar. I reverse engineer from Monday, October 4th to what I have to do at what, the who, what, where, when, how, and why. So the thing about maximizing not just the length of your life or the amount of years that you live, but the every freaking moment to be more effective and efficient in everything that you do in life, leadership, and business. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's better than the frustration that 90% of Americans out there are facing each and every day. So in that, those are the life lessons, right? For how do you do that, and how was I able to overcome COVID and what hit my industry, which is live speaking. I was very fortunate to already have some some really foresight to already pivot to Zoom. And Zoom, man, all I want to do is I'm a Zoom, and it was amazing, Coach Coco. You know, on Venmo, on PayPal from Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, right? I could coach from right here, one-on-one clients, groups, associations, corporate companies, all from right here. And every single day, I would just go to sleep and wake up in the morning and just see that stuff hit my email. Boom, Zoom, this much. Bam, PayPal, this much, right? So the ability to really have a business setup that's more wireless and non-paper transactional than ever is just amazing. And then any of the fees that I might have to just absorb, I just pass on to the client. So whatever the 0.35%, 3.5% plus the 10 cents per transaction, I just pass that on to the client. Just what retailers do to Coach V and Coach Coco. So it's that. And then really it's like, stop shooting from the hip and being good with the outcomes you get, because you're just shooting from the hip with no design and strategy, no real want or target for your life. And I'm not saying that I got it all figured out, but 90% of Americans, per the study, say that they are just shooting from the hip. And in America, you could still make a great living. But once you design that, have your side hustle while you're at a state job. I coach people like this right now. They're making more money than they do on their state job, and they're making 125 grand on the state job. They got a pension coming. They're going to go into their next career after that, but they got a side hustle that's making $250,000 a year. This is the day and age where we could do that. Set up Amazon. If you don't know how to do it, freaking watch YouTube, right? Design your life, go out and acquire what Coach V calls the empowerment equation. Here is the second coaching tip, life lesson, or success framework behavioral model, right? Knowledge plus accountability equals empowerment. Knowledge plus accountability equals empowerment. Knowledge is knowing these things that you need to know, like what do you believe in? Who do you believe in? What direction do you want to go, right? What do you want to become in life that you could now support yourself and know how to thrive, right? And you know the difference between right and wrong. But also in that knowledge, you need that industry expertise, because you can have all the life knowledge, but you won't be able to execute unless you have the industry knowledge, right? The basic fundamentals to your industry according to the task orientation that you have within your job or your industry, so that you can perform at a very high level. And then lastly is just what that exact want need in terms of, hey, this is my target. I want to make this much amount of money, and that's what I'm going for. For me, just on one of my revenue streams is $40,000 a year for one session with Coach V at the corporate level times 25 clients. That's $1 million a year. That's just one. That's exact want knowledge. So that's taken, I know who I believe in, my Lord God, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, what direction I want to go. I want to be the most sought after speaker in the next 5 years. I'll be 51 years old, right, on the planet, that I have the first right of refusal if it's in my lane of personal development and empowerment, right? And then this is how I survive. This is how I support myself. And I know the difference between right and wrong. I become an expert in my industry. And then I know what it is that I'm shooting for in terms of my pyramid of success, right? And then you add to that the action items, which is accountability, which I already alluded to, right? Is that daily habits, daily activities, routines, automated tasks that's now reflected of the knowledge it is that we have, that now creates flow, that creates momentum, lifts you to your next level of empowerment, now equates to empowerment. If you do not have these two factors correct, knowledge and accountability, what you have is unaccountability or the wrong knowledge. What usually happens in the corporate world is entitlement, whining, complaining, and blaming, and it's somebody else's fault, right? So that's that. Design your life, figure out the knowledge and accountability to become empowered, and grant yourself permission and authority to do and become and achieve what it is that you want in life, leadership, and business. And even though I say it like this and I know it, and I read it, I coach on this stuff all the time, it ain't easy, It is not easy. In fact, the failure rate's probably 70 something percent, because most people quit just because of the fact that they don't want to get up early in the morning. They don't want to stay up late. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. Right. But your success doesn't really give a shit what it is that you think or feel. It's what you do. In terms of thinking, feeling, doing, saying, and how you see things, doing is the number one thing. Yes, you need faith and self-belief. Right? You need to be able to feel emotionally stable and have emotional intelligence. But in my case, of all the clients it is that I've coached over the last 10 years, it is the doer that figures out what to think, how to feel, what to say, and how to see things. So those would be some behavioral models, frameworks, and life lessons that I would grant you and the audience for your consideration, because nobody has to do what the hell that is I say. Everybody's a grown person watching this. And if you're underage, know this. I'm only asking that you consider these things. If you find it appropriate, freaking extract what it is that you feel is most appropriate and applicable and go deploy it all over your life, leadership, and business. But not, Coco, just to be successful and achieve. So really the life champion and empowerment juice that I speak, coach, and train in all over the world is that you become more effective and efficient in achieving what you want in life, leadership, and business. But now translating, Coach Coco's terms, is transitioning all those things, that money, that success, right? That cheddar, the houses, the properties, the cars, and the crazy vacations that you take, right? If you can't translate that into joy, peace, happiness, fulfillment, love, and family time, you're missing it.
Awesome. You know, Coach,
Wow.
that's cool that you talked about. I think we had a talk maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, and I talked about polished time, and we talked about, you know, the Lord gives us 8 hours of sleep for us to wake up and be better. He gives us an 8-hour job. And what do you do with the other 8 hours? You know?
Right.
So when those things are calculated and put right where they need to be, it's almost like a Tetris block. You know, you finally get that all in there. And,
or frustration if you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Angst, anger,
you know,
right?
Yeah, and listening to you, I was about ready to ask a couple questions, but it's like you're a well-coached guy on the defense. You already know what the offense is going to run on second down, and now the ball's on the right hash, and it's in the red zone.
Not against Colin Kaepernick, though.
Yep.
Yeah, because we lost to Colin Kaepernick, and we were going to go to the Rose Bowl while I was at Boise State, and we went into overtime. We couldn't get a first down, man, and we couldn't stop those guys. And we asked Colin Kaepernick, I think at Boise State, to be a tight end. But he went to Nevada and kicked our butts. And instead of going to the Rose Bowl, we went to Las Vegas Bowl. So I don't always know.
Yeah.
And just like success, right? It doesn't always work, but you're going to learn a lesson one way or the other.
It's that rep, Coach. You know, and,
Yes, sir.
And you talked about that rep. Well, what's cool is you talked about creating a finish mindset.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
Yes, sir.
and you did it so authentically, and you jumped right in there. You talked about really the key ingredients to have a work-to-win mindset.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
And that's really settling a solid foundation. And by having that foundation to be able to hang your hat on, you know, I think that's an incredible GPS for the youth. You know, and how does that carry over for the adults? Because we're adults right here, and we're excited just to hear it.
Yeah. It's so interesting, right? And again, the reason why I come back to this exact want knowledge in terms of the knowledge plus accountability equals empowerment is that so many people in America, they just focus on what they don't want. But they don't know what they want. They know what they're against. Oh, and you want to hear the politics of that? They'll tell you every reason why the negative, or they hate this. They're not about that. They can't stand that person, but they can't tell you who they are and what they want.
Coach,
I find like that's what's so problematic, Coco.
you have a great quote in regards to being positive and getting rid of those negatives. You know, can you share that with us real quick, because you know you topped on it right now.
Yeah. I mean, life is struggle. Struggle is life. Misery is optional, right? You want to see life struggle? Man, want a baby, be pregnant, and watch a woman give birth. Come on, man. When I first saw that, I figured out that so men may be the most powerful being on this planet, but woman is the most powerful entity in the universe, because every man comes from woman. And when I saw my wife birth our first child, let alone our second, when you talk about life is struggle, struggle is life, misery is optional, I ain't got shit to complain about. I didn't have to bring life into this world, right? I ain't got nothing to complain about, right? And then if you, again, it comes because I'm so grateful and positive, and people are like, why are you always so positive? You know, that person just ripped you on LinkedIn. It's like one person out of 150 comments about me in Australia, doing a podcast in Australia. It's just like, I just have never seen anything positive come from being negative. In the hood, when it was on, it was on. And it wasn't good for anybody.
Nope.
Even if you won the fight.
Yep.
Or you took out your strap and you started, gapping on people. I mean, I got people right now that have been in jail since I was in high school. Nothing good comes from being that, right? And that attitude is that after you have the basic human reaction that all of us will have in life, leadership, and business about failing. I've been publicly embarrassed. I've won more games than most NCAA football coaches out there, right? But I've also been fired. I know what it feels like, right? But then if you cannot respond according to your success in your life fulfillment, you're missing it. And you're going to miss the boat. Awesome. You're going to miss on maximizing opportunity, and you're going to miss the opportunity. You're going to get divorced. Your parents are going to hate you. Your siblings are going to hate you. Your kids are going to move out of the house and never come home. I mean, that's what ego does. But life is struggle. Struggle is life. Misery is optional. And if you ask any single person that wants romance how tough it is to be single, man, you'll know it is a struggle. But single people have no idea what real struggle is, because we got that waiting for them on the other side called marriage. You want to know struggle? you wait till you get married and you come to this side where the dark side is calling for you every day, and it makes itself readily available to be selfish, to not care, to no longer give, to go tit for tat. You did this for me, I want to do that to you. That shit don't work, Coco. It don't work in life. It don't work in leadership. It don't work in football. It don't work in anything. And damn near it don't help in anything in terms of success in life fulfillment.
I disagree, Coach Viliami. I'm going to call you Pastor Viliami.
Wait till you hear me
curse. I don't care.
Yeah.
I go to the church, sister. I go to the church, right? And the first thing every pastor says is,
"Don't curse."
Okay, Coach. No cussing.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. No cussing. Well, I heard you at the men's ministry, and that's not from the pulpit. Please don't cuss. And don't say freak either, because I know what you mean when you say freak. Yes, Pastor. Because I'm unapologetically me. And though I can use certain words, it's nothing like, man, you shouldn't fucking do that shit to really grab somebody's attention. Right? Don't fucking do that shit. Right? Don't do it. I mean, because I don't ever direct it at someone, but I use it as an emphasis word. And in Pomona, MF, yes. Right? That's a noun, pronoun, verb, adjective. Man, in Pomona, that's just how we talk. And in football talk, people are like, oh, you used to be a football coach, huh? I don't know. How can you tell? You cuss a lot. Yeah, you're right. I'm from football.
You could tell he's
but
from
I appreciate
Pomona.
that, sister. I appreciate it.
You could tell he's from Pomona.
You know, Coach.
Oh, can you?
Man,
I appreciate it.
It's all good. Ganesha runs real deep on this side. I went to high school at Bishop Almont. I'm an alumni from Almont. So, I was oh man, you're Samoan? Well, why are you over there?
Yeah.
And and I was lucky enough, to grow up with all of the people you mentioned. My heart is breaking for the Holani family and everything,
that's my boy.
And sometimes even though we're in my family's, our background is tax, finance, and insurance. That's our background.
Right.
But I always thought God just put me in the position to use that as a tool so then I can do better and do more.
Why not?
Especially for our community, And so what I saw through COVID, in particular with our community, was just, an uphill battle,
right.
and all these statistics that everyone speaks about, what COVID has done to the community statistically, this many people are affected out of this many people, et cetera, et cetera. But when you look at a Polynesian community, the nucleus of it, the micro of it, you can see it happen in real time. And, right. and for me, it's heartbreaking. For me, it's heartbreaking to see families lose several siblings their
right.
parents, you know, and it's hard too, because, you know, we run deep with our traditions. And I was just telling, you know, I'm half Samoan, half Indian, but from Fiji. And
Yeah.
I was just telling, you know, and we work with the Halafa boys, you know, on a
Yeah.
regular basis. And so, you know, but I was telling my family, my Indians that were with me at a American funeral. I don't know if you know this, guys, but Hindus, like Indians, most Indians, they have a lot of questions at American funerals.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, it's not the way that Indians bury their loved ones, you know. And I really gave it some thought. And, you know, one thing I can say about the Tongan community and traditions is, you know, they love hard. Their traditions are really deep. And the thing that's amazing in America is that you can almost not tell if they are first, second, or third generation Tongan. And, you know, and that is a huge compliment, you know, to the Tongan community, because I see a lot of lack, you know, in disparity, you know, with born, you know, I'm Samoan and I don't speak my language well at all, but I'm working on it, you know, but I get the pass because I'm half. I'm mixed, right? I get a pass, but at the same token, you know, Indians don't give a pass, you guys. If you're half, they say you're full. They just ignore the rest of you. But what I wonder is it's challenging for me. I can't imagine at the level that you are functioning, how you deal with the weight of wanting to reach out to the community in specificity, because, you know, you're doing such wonderful things on a broad scope. I just wonder, does it weigh heavy on you being in the position you are, you know, when you see what's happening with our community, especially through COVID?
Yeah. And so now it's really interesting, right? And I'll just say this for all good people, but specifically the Pacific Island community is, you know, I roll with people that buy, you know, $5,000-$10,000 tables for a function just because it's a good cause and they know that person, right? So those people, I define them as they give out of their prosperity. See, now Polynesians, they give out of their poverty.
Yes.
Because Polynesians, they subscribe to a culture and a deep-rooted need to follow cultural protocols that they can't freaking afford.
Yes.
But yet they do it anyway, right? So when you're in a position that I am, I get a phone call every other day.
Exactly.
Every other day for this funeral, that baptism, this first birthday, right? It's like nonstop. And so do I feel heavy? Yes and no, because I'm not accountable and I'm not the steward of everybody in my culture. See,
Yes.
Tongan people feel like they need to steward everybody. God has only told me to steward what it is that he's gifted me, and that's my family and those people and those things it is that I decide that is value or I can add value to that I don't need help back from. So that's how I approach that. Because here in the Sacramento region, you know, a lot of Tongans are like, well, you're not from here. You know, this ain't your hood. Yeah, that's cool. You can say whatever you want. But this is the only Tongan brother that's ever been inducted into the Elk Grove Hall of Fame. And I don't say that by pride, but you don't get those things by what you think and what you feel. Is how you do. It's the actions that you do. Right. So I get inducted in November. So in spite of, you know, the tic tac and the finger pointing and the royalty and this is this and this is that, I don't feel like I am responsible for everyone, but I am accountable by God and my community to help where it is that I see that I should. Period. And I don't care what other people think. You know, Her Game. My girl from Her Game did a camp up here, but she's a for-profit, and she did a camp for girls. And she asked if I'd sponsor, you know, the girl needs. They want to buy some products and stuff for girls that are ages 13 to 15. But they're like, oh, B, you can't get a tax write-off for that. I was like, yeah, put me on $500. Whatever. It just is what it is. I could help somebody just because I could help. Right. And so do I feel a huge accountability and responsibility that all these things are going wrong? We all are suffering either the consequences of our choices that are either right or wrong, and we will either have our decisions determine our destiny or our detriment, one or the other.
Coach, in listening to you, I use a quote a lot, and just listening to you, you are that quote. Hope is useless unless it's followed by action, and you are that guy. Because you don't get to the crown unless, to reach a distant goal, you have to embrace all the small steps that are in between. Right. To get an A, you got to get an A in that first quiz and be excited as the final A that you're going to get. So in that, I see you as that. And the reason why I wanted to put that out there is because, we're getting close to the end of the program right here, and let's say we're in the 2-minute offense, Coach. There's 2 minutes left in the game, and how do you, now that you've established a finish mindset, a work to win mindset, you reinforce your foundation, which is incredible, and how do you handle deadlines peacefully when they're yours or they're not yours, or just plain deadline?
That's a great question. Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. Really, it just comes directly from what we've done in football all the time. It's called the performance anxiety curve, right? So to have better performance and less anxiety in what you do reps, you practice, you prepare, and you do all those things. But the main key for that is when you say deadline, I call it a win line. I think deadline is too much of a detrimental negative aspect that you're going to die should you not do this. And you really don't. Whether in failure or success is that you're willing to live with the consequences of the outcome of your decisions. That's why I neither feel accountable or super responsible for what goes on in my community. Don't get me wrong. I cry like everybody else when I hear that one of my brothers is gone, especially as young as he was. And for, Perlina, who's there, I mean, she probably knows the Halahola family. Finau and I in the Halahola family, we grew up in D.C. together. We were the only Tonys in Washington, D.C., right? So his wife went in because of COVID and never came back out ever. And then his sister passed away, and her name's Fehi. We all grew up together since we were kids. So when you hear something like that, your reaction is like, gosh, damn, I can't believe. But we have to. Our knowledge tells us that all good things come to an end. And with every end, there's a new beginning. And every new beginning, there's an end. So after this life, there is a next life. But in this life, there is coming an end. But nobody really approaches life like that, but I do. So really the win line or the deadline and the anxiety, and then really the performance that's negatively impacted by feeling like you have to win. Like I alluded to in the beginning, and this is just my experience, is that, it's how we're able to live with the consequences of our decisions and then respond forward according to our success and our life fulfillment from there, Coco.
Awesome. Coach, we get into the last play of a game, regardless of what it is. What do you leave for those to resonate, for the elevation of their journey and the enhancements for their program, to be able to sit in a seat like you sit on yours?
Yeah, I would say don't try to sit in a seat like mine. Try to sit in the seat that you want, that's yours, that you've been called to do and you feel like your purpose to do, and live with the consequences of every one of the decisions that you make for that. And really that, it really is true that comparison is the thief of joy. Everybody has to run their own race. The guys it is that I was coaching with, they're millionaires. Justin Wilcox is a millionaire. He's the head coach at Cal. Brian Harsin is the head coach at Auburn. And Andy Avalos, who I was coaching when he was a freaking linebacker, the Liberty Bowl year, is the head coach. I mean, those guys are making millions. I'm not making that, but I'm going to. Awesome. So you don't let that steal your joy. You have to run your race. But understand this in your race. As the Olympics just have finished, it's like Olympic sprinters, they train for 4 to 5 years to get on the Olympic team, to then train another 4 years to run 9 seconds in the 100 meters. See, most people, and I'm saying most of the people that are even watching this, they won't do that. Coco. They won't do that. And then on the last play, when it's time to go that 9 seconds, they want reward now. But it doesn't come now. It may not even come in this lifetime, but it will come to something or someone should you work and act on it now. Look at that. Train for 4 years to make the Olympic team and then train another 4 years, right? Now to only go around 9 seconds, that's it. That's all you get.
Man.
That's all you
That's
get.
why I live with the consequences of the decisions I make. I've been fired. I've been passed over, right? I've been demoted. I've been publicly humiliated in the newspapers, and I've been all that. So right now, where it is that I am today, I get to be, the author of my story. And I get to be the person who writes my script each and every day, and I'm willing to live with the consequences of that. And the money and stuff, it comes when it comes. When you put a deadline, there's too much pressure because most of the time you don't do that. And imprisonment tells us that people that were held in the camps in Vietnam, it is the people that didn't put a win line or a deadline on it that didn't pass away before they were freed. Because they said, I'll be home by Christmas. I know I'm going to be home by Christmas. And they didn't die of starvation. They didn't die of malnutrition. They died because of the fact that they set up a fact in their reality, in their mind, that they got crushed when it didn't happen and they died from a broken soul. So that would be my final play.
Coach, when two people or a group of people take a knee and we're facing each other, I like to say there's a T on your thigh and there's a K on mine, but there's an A that's joining your knee and my knee with a Roman arc. And it bonds us for life. And when two people can do that and embrace the fibers that was just transferred over, man, that's awesome. And I like to say this, I've been saying it for a long time, tact time all the time is when you're truly accepting knowledge.
Yes, sir.
And trust me, we just did a 50-minute show where the four of us here tonight, we took a knee with you, Coach, tonight, and we truly accepted the knowledge that you poured within our fibers. I want to say thank you very much because, that's tact time all the time. And now as we get into the end of it, we like to be able to thank Tony Jefferson just for giving us the opportunity for Coach V to spill this out, and just for this to happen. And our next guest that we'll be having, guys, on October 20th, I coached him back in 1988. Will Tate. Will was all CIF in football receiver. He was all CIF in basketball, and he was all CIF long jump and triple jump down in San Diego. Went on to play at San Diego State and with the Arizona Cardinals. And now he's doing things that, just like we're all doing, giving back to the community and providing things for kids and their outlet. He's really excited right now because his son's a starting running back at Eastern New Mexico, so we want to give Isaiah a shout out there also too. And with that, and then we can say that we're done with this thing, Coach. And hope is useless, so it's followed by action. Well, we took the action tonight, and you dropped some gems, and we really do appreciate you, Coach. Yes. Thank you very much.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. I appreciate it, sister. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, Coach. Stay blessed, and we'll get everything to you. And we're looking forward just to be able to see you and give you an embrace and share another tact time with you. Awesome.
Can I drop a final word?
Yes, sir.
See, our biggest fear is that we are inadequate and powerful beyond measure. But really, it is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I? Who are we? Who, me, brilliant, gorgeous, and talented and famous? Actually, who are you not to be? Because you are a child of God, and you playing small doesn't serve the world. And there is nothing enlightening about shrinking back so that other people won't feel insecure around you. Because you were born to make manifest the glory of God that's within us. And it is not just in some of us, it is in all of us. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. Because as you take a knee and I are liberated from our own fears, our example automatically liberates others. From right here in the 916 Elk Grove, California. Thank you. Take a knee. One love and God bless.
You got it, baby.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Peace.
Purple. Here we go.
All the time, all the time, all the time. Tack time, all the time, all the time. Tack time, all the time. Come on, I take me, I take the kid and make him see, make him believe in chasing.